I'm Scott Gray, I'm a fish scientist, that's my background, but I really love recreational fishing, and there's certainly been a lot of overlap between that and the science that I've been involved in over the years with surveys. And so, I sort of do a whole range of things in that sort of area. Lots of field studies, talking to anglers, fishing surveys itself. It's been great over the last, say, 25 years to sort of, get to know the region really well in a range of capacities, spending a lot of time on the water, and that's what I love. When I was younger, I just wanted to catch all the fish and the biggest fish, and I think as I've got older, I just love the adventure, not knowing what's going to happen next, and I think that's something that, that's probably the thing I most love about fishing. So I've had a few boats over the years, started with an old fiberglass thing without a motor about 25 years ago, and worked my way up, bought a couple of tinnies, and they served me well for a decade. And then as I got a bit older, I just wanted to go a little bit further, and I wanted to travel more, and I wanted to do more types of fishing. So I went for an open console boat, and that just suits me to a T. The thing I really love the most is the versatility that you get. I love my diving, spear fishing, line fishing. So I really wanted a boat that I could go for a trial in the lake here, but then at the same time turn around and take to the shelf and catch a blue eye. So it really suits me down to a T. I don't mind getting a little bit wet when conditions aren't ideal. I really like to be able to use the whole boat. That one's decked out there, that sea cruiser, with everything I could hope to use. The crater lakes here at Camperdown are really unique in a national capacity. They're volcanic, and this whole region here is very volcanic, and it hasn't had any activity for a long time. But what we have here is a whole lot of crater lakes. And some of them are very shallow and they don't last long. They hang around for a few years after a good wet year. But then these two here, Lake Bullimera and then Lake Purrumbete, which is about 5 k's away, they're very deep, and they're actually, I believe, the deepest natural lakes in the country. So when you talk about lakes that are 50 metres deep, often you're talking about reservoirs which are man-made because they're so deep. But these are actually craters, volcanic craters. They hold water all year round, and they provide some good fishing, really high productivity. So when you stock it with trout and salmon, it produces big fish. These lakes are definitely renowned for producing some really big trout and salmon over the years, and there's many stories told of the good old days here when the lake here actually produced Chinook salmon of over 20 pounds, and in that capacity it's very unique as well, because there's not a lot of places in Australia that produce really good quality Chinook salmon, and Lake Bullimera and Purrumbete are actually the only two lakes that consistently produce big salmon. So that's pretty exciting for recreational anglers, and a lot of people come from far and wide to try and catch a Chinook salmon here, particularly a big one. And some days you wonder where 30,000 fish can hide in this lake. There's not a lot of structure or anything like that. So we saw them on the sounder, we trialled our lures, we tried some baits, but we didn't find that big fish today. But I know from the time I've spent here that they are here, and I've been lucky over the last sort of 15 years to land some really nice fish. And one day I got a 10-pound brown out of here fly fishing, and another day we got a 10-pound Chinook salmon trolling, and I've certainly seen lots of really good fish over the years. So I think it's the thrill of the chase, isn't it? You just keep coming here, and maybe the next trip that I come here will be the day I catch my 20-pounder. During the warmer months, the lake actually stratifies, so a lot of the fish get squeezed into the top 10 metres of water. So to get to the fish, if we need to get down to 10 metres, I find a downrigger is the best way to precisely put your lure down in the strike zone. So we spend a lot of time downrigging, just finding the fish on the sounder, put your lure down to the right level and troll around, and hopefully you'll pick the fish up. The other option too, that's probably a more active method, bait fish, and a lot of people choose to just anchor up and fish that same sort of depth of water, put a bit of burley in, a little bit of pilchard burley, and just fish small hooks and small baits with a little bit of a cube trail, and that usually works really well as well. This boat here is my second sea cruiser. It hasn't changed a whole lot, not the hull design anyway, from the first one. This one's probably designed more for adventure, and Ed and I sat down about a year ago and said, all right, let's try something new. Let's make a few changes to the original hull and features. And the idea is, I'm getting older and winter's getting harsher, and I want to spend more time up north and take the family on a holiday. So I thought, well, what do I need to do to make this boat really versatile? So the first thing was we may put a bigger fuel tank on there. You know, we've got more range, can go away and do long distances. The other thing we did was we put a lock-up storage on there. So we've got side lockers which lock up, front locker which locks up. Just makes it easy to store your gear when you're on the road. Running 2 transducers as well. I've got the Garmin unit again, the 7412 XSV. I've got a GT51, which is a 600 watt sonar with side view and clear view. Then I've got a 1 kilowatt. Both of them have got chirp as well for a nice clear picture. The 1 kilowatts, I mainly use that when I'm fishing offshore from about 200 metres out to the shelf. And then the GT51 does all the inshore work and the lakes and rivers too, because obviously it spends a lot of time in smaller waters too. Yeah, it's pretty cool to think that you can catch a Chinook salmon in a volcanic crater in Western Victoria, you know, a fish that's, you know, found in the Northern Hemisphere, in this lake here behind us, and they grow to such a big size, you know. There's nowhere else in Australia, you know, like these lakes here at Camperdown, so it's certainly worth a visit, and come and see for yourself, and you never know, you might catch that trophy fish of your dreams.